This is absolutely happening. Bitcoin and XRP will be number one and number two in the next 6 years. And I'm going to give you the logic, the facts, figures, numbers, logic. I'm not going to give you hype. I'm going to give you an understanding of what is actually happening. I don't hear most people talking about these perspectives. They're talking about getting rich in crypto, but not really understanding the systematic change that is happening in our financial system that is going to radically transform it for the next 100 years. Everything that's playing out is all by design. So, in today's video, I'm going to break down how Trump heads out to the Middle East. And after he heads out to the Middle East, really interesting. All of a sudden, they're super bullish on XRP, a stablecoin, XRP treasury. And I'm going to show you some interesting stuff that I think is happening right now, or I'm going to share with you some interesting stuff that I think is happening right now around Elon. Let's jump into that right now. So everybody's freaking out because Elon is pushing back on the massive bill that is coming out from Trump. Think about this for just a moment. I just came from the Bitcoin conference. Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Trump came on FaceTime with Jack Mahler, Cynthia Loomis, Rosie Rios, all of them. Rosie Rios didn't say this physically. She said the freight train is after building, Bitcoin is here to stay, and crypto is here to stay, and blockchain is here to stay. She sits on the board for Ripple. They all are screaming from the top of the mountain. Bo Bynes says we're going to buy as much Bitcoin as humanly possible. They're shouting from the mountaintops, don't sell your Bitcoin. Don't sell your Bitcoin. Don't sell your Bitcoin. Okay? Listen to me. 5% of the supply is left. That's it. 95% of the supply of Bitcoin is gone. 95% of the world does not have exposure to crypto. Let that sink in. 5% is left. 95% of the public in the world has no exposure to crypto. So who owns this, guys? Think about it. The very thing that was created in 2009 is now the solve for a collapsing fiat system. So inside the better bill, there's massive amounts of debt going to be put on the balance sheet. So here's what's going to happen is they are going to turn the printing machine on full blast. They are going to monetize a shit load of debt. Now, what does that do? It weakens the US dollar. That is a fiat system. It is fake currency. You are paid in someone else's debt. Hence why they're saying don't sell your Bitcoin. Remember, 5% of the supply is left. It's one of the most scarce assets in the world, and 95% of the public does not have exposure to Bitcoin or crypto specifically. So who owns this, guys? The elites. Now they're saying water's warm. Come on in. Don't sell your Bitcoin. Don't sell your Bitcoin. So those who maybe get a Satoshi, even a Bitcoin, whatever it is, a piece of it, a fraction of a deflationary asset, here's what's happening. We're moving from an inflationary fiat system, US dollar. You're seeing a controlled demolition of the fiat system from inflationary to deflationary system. So think about this for just a moment. This is my narrative. So they're going to put a bunch of debt on the balance sheet. They're going to grow their way out of this economy. They're going to grow GDP faster than debt. Bitcoin is going to continue to go up because the US dollar is going to come down because they're going to print tons of money and monetize debt. Okay, they're going to treasuries, they're going to sell it back to us at interest. If there's no debt in the system, the whole system collapses, guys. You are paid in someone else's debt. So Trump family is getting a shitload of Bitcoin. BlackRock, the number 2 holder in Bitcoin. Strategy B, okay, the number 3 holder in Bitcoin. BlackRock is the number 3 holder in Strategy B. Grayscale America is the number 4 holder outside of Satoshi in Bitcoin. And China is number 6, and they're the number 1 holder in Ethereum. Why are they holding so much Bitcoin? Because it's deflationary. There is a controlled demolition of the fiat system. So what happens when you print a ton of money and monetize a ton of debt and lower taxes? Everybody's going to feel rich. People are going to buy a lot of stuff. And what's going to happen, you're eventually going to hit an inflection point where you're going to go into hyperinflation, which will probably be around 2008 or 2028 to 2029 as we head into the next bull run, which is going to make crypto go parabolic, and Bitcoin's going to be even more scarce, and Bitcoin's going to shoot through the roof. That's where these targets come from, 1,500,000 to 1 million. I believe it. I totally believe it. So why would you store your money in a US dollar that is inflationary every single time they print this money? And if this bill passes, they're going to monetize the shitload of debt. And your dollar, Trump wants a weaker dollar. So what goes up in inflation down the road? Real estate, deflationary assets, Bitcoin, XRP. So that's what I've done. But I put my money where my mouth is. I followed this exact pattern, not knowing that Trump was going to win this election, not knowing that they were going to turn the printing machine on again full blast, not knowing that they were going to make Bitcoin the capital of the world, or America the crypto capital of the world. I just did it based on macro and microeconomics and the fact that Biden increased inflation by 19%, which lowered the value of your dollar, their purchasing power 19%. I was like, okay, there's something going on here. And now our narrative is true. So what they're going to do is, I believe this is what they're going to do. In a budget neutral way, I think they're going to revalue gold. That's just my opinion. I think they're going to revalue gold. They're going to take that revaluation. They're going to diversify into Bitcoin, one of the most scarce deflationary assets that grows 50% every single year. They're going to put that on the balance sheet. They have a Bitcoin strategic reserve. That's how they're going to do it in a budget neutral way. It's just going to be an accounting measure. That's my opinion. Because if they say they're going to do it in a budget neutral way, right? They print to monetize debt to sell bonds to us. That's how they get the interest income. So in a budget neutral way, they're not going to tax us. They're going to lower taxes. So they revalue gold. They move some of it to diversify into Bitcoin, which grows 50% every year. They now have an appreciating asset for the next 116 years because the rewards get the Bitcoin halving every 4 years, and that will be mine for another 116 years. So then you monetize the balance sheet, and then you borrow just like I did from their Bitcoin, and then they buy more cash generating assets. They create a sovereign wealth fund, and then America becomes one of the wealthiest countries in the world. But here's the caveat to that. If you don't get your brain, I'll get to the news, I promise you. If you don't get your brain out of the American greed materialistic system and understand inflationary, getting paid in someone else's debt, in a fractional reserve system, banking system, to understanding why Trump, his sons, Cynthia Loomis, Rosie Rios, Michael Saylor, what all these people are doing, why Ray Dalio, one of my favorite economists who went from Bitcoin to I'm doing 5% into Bitcoin, to Robert Kiyosaki, all in on Bitcoin, to the third wealthiest person in Mexico who said, I'm going 100% into Bitcoin, who RFK says he stores almost all of his wealth in Bitcoin. JD Vance has almost $500,000. Howard Lutnick, who is the right-hand person to Trump, who is a commerce secretary for our country, is going to be a billionaire in Bitcoin, who owns Cantor, which linked up with SoftBank, which is competing against Strategy B. It's all logic, guys. We all got played. They all told us to look this way. Cryptocurrency is a fraud. Cryptocurrency is a fraud. Oh, water's warm. Come on in. Why? Because now they're set. Again, I'll go back to what I said in the beginning. 95% of the supply of Bitcoin is gone. 95% of the public does not have exposure to crypto. Let that sink in. So who owns this? The system is changing. The fiat system is slowly being demolished into a deflationary system. That's the beauty in it, though. It's not going to be a collapse of the system. It's a slow demolition of fiat, non-backed currency, because you can't continue this. You can't just keep printing money in a debt-based society. Look at China. They're at 300% debt to income ratio. China is destroyed economically right now. We're on the way there. But now with Trump in presidency, he's a businessman. He is going to bring more money than you've ever seen into this economy. But you have to be very strategic on where you place your money when you get more money in your pocket. Because if you follow the same patterns that Americans do, you're going to be in the exact same situation and probably worse. You're going to be holding on to a devalued fiat system, a fiat currency, and at some point, somebody has to lose. The energy doesn't go anywhere. It just transfers. It's just in this big bubble. Debt moves around the system. That's all it is. It just moves. Somebody wins, somebody loses. So I know, Elon's super upset at Trump about this. I'll bounce through the news really quickly, but I think this was important. It just is really on my heart to say this. Like, guys, this is how I became a millionaire in crypto. This is how I became a millionaire investor. This is how I created cash flow, because I methodically pay attention to this type of stuff. I pay attention. I don't get fudded out with hype. I continue to buy Bitcoin on a daily basis. I buy XRP on a daily basis. When it dips, I buy more. I don't care what the price is. I know I'm buying the bottom of the future top. That's what I do. You don't have to do that. Every Wednesday and Friday when I get paid by my cash generating companies, I buy more cash flow. I put my money into dividends that pay me cash. When I get cash, it's trash. I put it back into Bitcoin and XRP after doing the tax implications of the dividends. Then I protect with cash value life insurance. So I have a bank on my insurance side, I have a bank on my Bitcoin side, and then I leverage. I just leverage Bitcoin to buy my insurance firm. I basically am going to make 36% because Bitcoin goes up 50% every year. I borrowed at 14%. I beat the HODL rate, and I basically will have a free insurance firm in the next 10 months when it's paid off. And guess what I'll do? I will borrow again for my Bitcoin and I'll buy more cash generating assets and I'll repeat the process. That's how you become wealthy. You don't become wealthy by making money in crypto and buying Lambos and watches. Stop following these crypto bros and these watch, the Rolexes, and they're literally the bull run they're rich, the bear market they're broke. Okay, the meme coin strategies. I've coached 11,400 people. I've not met one person who has made money and sustained it. Out of 11,400 people, I've only met people that have nightmare stories. They got rug pulled, that build addictive behaviors. If you want to get rich quick, go to the casino. If you want to get wealthy, for sure, get disciplined, get focused, understand macro and microeconomics, understand what this means, what this bill means. Understand that they are going to devalue the living shit out of your dollar, and they want a weaker dollar. It creates fair global trade. It's going to make Bitcoin and cryptocurrency go through the roof, the new system for the next 116 years. And again, I'll say it one more time. 95% of the supply of Bitcoin is gone. 5% is left, and 95% of the public does not have exposure to crypto. That's how unbelievably early you are. Okay, so let's get into the facts, figures, numbers, logic. What is actually happening? So Bitcoin Magazine announced just in, President Trump's True Social filed for a Bitcoin ETF. We know that this happened a week ago. Trump media announces $2.5 billion deal to create a Bitcoin treasury. I'm going to have you listen to this. This was when Trump was out in the Middle East, and he's talking about the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
But we have none stronger and nobody like the gentleman that's right before me. He's your greatest representative, greatest representative. And if I didn't like him, I'd get out of here so fast. You know that, don't you? He knows me well. I do. I like him a lot. I like him too much. That's why we give so much, Too much. I like you too much.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, when he comes back, let's go back to an old tweet, right? Old tweet. So this is from Documenting Ripple. This was posted this was on March 2nd. Remember when Trump posted this? U.S. crypto reserve will elevate the critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by Biden administration. This is which is why my executive order on digital assets directed by the president's working group to move forward on crypto strategic reserve that will include XRP, Solana, ADA. And then he came back and did another tweet that said Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that's the ones in there, right? These are the cryptocurrencies we've been talking about and why I know Bitcoin and XRP will be number one and number two. XRP is going to play a very critical role in the financial system. They are not against each other. The maximalists and Bitcoin, the maximalists, they're two different mechanisms. Bitcoin is clearly being used as a store of value. If it wasn't, if it was being used as a payment, then why would Trump be up there saying, with Jack Mallers, don't sell your Bitcoin. Cynthia Loomis, don't sell your Bitcoin. Michael Saylor, don't sell your Bitcoin. Garrett Trump, don't sell your Bitcoin. It's because they own it. It's the most scarce asset in the world. It is just digitized gold. It is a alchemization of physical gold into digital gold. I believe they're going to revalue gold and they're going to buy more Bitcoin. Okay. So again, at the end of this, I share with you exactly what I'm doing. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and it's changed our family's life. It's changed our company's life. Like Michael Saylor, recommended that small businesses and companies start to do this, and we did it. We started building a Bitcoin treasury and an XRP treasury and a dividend ETF strategy where now one of our buildings is being paid for by dividends. Okay. We got to break our mind out of this indoctrinated system of trading time for money. There's so many opportunities right now where you can free your family. Ripple's US dollar pegged RLUSD has received regulatory approval from Dubai's financial watchdog, clearing the way for its use within Dubai International DIFC. So since he left the Middle East, They're all bullish on Bitcoin, or excuse me, Ripple and XRP. Monica Long, big milestone. Ripple's stablecoin is now recognized under Dubai's world-class DFSA regime, meaning it can be fully integrated into Ripple's payments. And we know that after he left the Middle East, the Saudi prince bets big on XRP after meeting Trump. The Saudi prince company, led by private investment worth 121 million into its company, aiming to build a XRP treasury. Just in, Germany's DZ Bank, with over 350 billion in assets, has selected Ripple as its digital asset custody platform. Okay, so it's happening. Ripple, the company, XRP, the technology. Ripple has many different things. They have custody. They have the greatest suite for banks to operate within this new system. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Bitcoin is going to be a store of value. Okay, the wealthy, remember, I'll say it one more time, 95% of supply is gone. 95% of the public doesn't have access to crypto or doesn't have exposure to crypto. So who owns it? The elites, Satoshi, BlackRock, Grayscale, Strategy B, America, China, Coach JV, you. So I'm not a maximalist in any of this. I can just see what the hell is happening. I can see that there's this controlled demolition of the fiat system. Now, this is not the US. This is a beautiful time to be alive, because you're not sitting there as a victim where a fiat system is just going to collapse. Was it Venezuela? Hopefully I'm getting the right country, where Venezuela, maybe someone comment down, one of the countries collapsed, right? We're not in that. You actually are getting a gift where you get to see a controlled demolition of a fiat system that doesn't work anymore, to a transition to a deflationary system. And those who are awake in the age of Aquarius and understanding that we're moving into a quantum realm where everything's coming together, Jesus Christ is coming back, Bible sales are through the roof, people are coming to back, religious walls are breaking down, we're all seeing one under God, and we're going to see the greatest financial system in the world. But somebody has to lose, and it's those that are not paying attention. So what I did in 2020, I started really paying attention. So here's how my ecosystem is set up exactly. Bitcoin is a store of value like gold. I buy it every single day, and XRP, and I'll explain XRP in just a moment. Bitcoin sits on my balance sheet for my family. Bitcoin sits on the balance sheet for our company. That is a store of value. It is a leverage component. Okay, I'm going to talk about four things: cash value, or excuse me, cash flow. Cash is trash. We create cash flow, then we put it into deflationary assets. So we are heavy in Bitcoin and XRP, deflationary. They have a fixed supply, opposite of the US dollar. We have insurance. Everybody should have insurance. I'm not talking about term insurance. We have life insurance to protect our family, but we have cash value life insurance. Bank on yourself. These things need to be funded properly and structured properly. That's very important. There's a lot of people driving a Lamborghini with regular gas in it. They need to be structured properly by the agent, and they need to be funded properly by you. Very important, or you're driving a Pinto. Okay. Then we have leverage. We have leverage from the insurance, and we have leverage from the Bitcoin. Okay, so let's go back to the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, and again, you have to be very responsible with leverage. I never will leverage my assets unless I'm buying something that creates enough cash flow to pay off the leverage in a short amount of time. That's the way that I do it, okay? Because I'm very responsible with my leverage. For example, I leveraged Bitcoin just recently to buy my insurance firm. I borrowed at 14%. I locked it up on Salt. I didn't have to sell any of it. I got tax-free money. Once the 2-week know your customer KYC, now I'm set up with them. It took about 24 hours. Boom, my money was in my bank account. Went and got the money. I didn't have to go to Wells Fargo Bank and have to do any of that stuff. Okay, so 14%. You're like, damn, that's a lot. But think about this. I borrowed at 14. Bitcoin goes up 50% every year. So do the math, the hurdle rate. I'm making 36% free money. 36% on the money that I borrowed, because my Bitcoin goes up 50%. I'm paying them back 14%. And every month I pay it back, my LTV goes up. So my firm will be paid off after actually 1 month. So you'll be paid off in 9 months coming up. So 9 months it'll be paid off, and I'll keep sharing this, and I'll share with you it's paid off. As soon as that's paid off, I'm going to take that LTV again, and I'm going to buy more cash flow. I'll probably do a dividend ETF strategy, and then I'll pay that off. Does that make sense? Because that's cash flow. So now we're getting into cash flow. Okay. I got cash flowing businesses. I have an insurance company. I have 2 education companies. We have a software company that created Merlin, smartest way to track your crypto. We have a podcast company. We have multiple different companies in different verticals. Okay. So when I get cash though, I don't buy Lambos, I don't buy Ferraris, I don't buy nice bigger houses. I am in a very, very serious cash generating mode right now to make sure that the moat is built around my kingdom. Once the moat is built around the kingdom, which is probably, I would say, 2 more years, it's going to be really, really flowing, right? And from there, I might buy some nice stuff. I don't know. We'll see, but I'll never buy it with my money. I'll never take away from my family's future to buy that stuff ever. I'm not going to buy a Lambo or a boat. Those are two things that I want. I like fast cars. If you know me, I like fast cars. Okay. But I will never buy them if it's going to take away from my family's future. Here's what I would do. Okay. Cash flow. So what I would do is with a deflationary asset, I make profit. I would leverage tax free. I'd probably put it into an insurance policy. Okay. Then I'd borrow from my insurance policy. I'd put it into a dividend that paid me cash flow. I would pay back the dividend. I'd pay back the loan over here. I'd pay back the borrowed asset over here, and there would be enough left based on the dividends I'm getting to pay the Lambo, right? Does that make sense? So you're moving money, leverage, tax-free, put it into something that's going to grow, borrow, get cash, pay for the asset, pay for the liability. So now you're driving a retirement policy. Okay. These are just things to think about. Okay. And how did I learn this? Richest Man in Babylon, Cash Flow Quadrant, Think and Grow Rich. I've been reading that one for a long, long time. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Okay. Intelligent Investor. There's a lot of concepts. There's some things that, I do that are outside of Intelligent Investor, but I'm very thoughtful. So with my money, today is Wednesday when I'm recording this video. I get paid by one of my companies on Wednesday. I get paid on Wednesdays and Fridays, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So today it's move money time. Okay. My goal is and is happening is to pay for all my debts and non-negotiables by assets. Okay. That makes all my income investable. I started at a very, very small level, and it compounded. Okay. You have to be extremely disciplined though. Okay. It's very, very difficult growing up in America and the keeping up with the Joneses and the highlight reels and all the bullshit. Okay. Millionaires buy shit to impress people they don't even like. Okay. Nobody cares what you're driving. Nobody gives I wear the same shit every day, guys. These are $7 tank tops from Amazon, right? I just don't, that stuff isn't important to me, right? I like wearing the same stuff every day, decision fatigue, right? If I have fitness, if I have a gym, if I have food and shelter, God, family, protect my ecosystem at all costs, I got everything I need. So I get paid. That had nothing to do with what I'm talking about. That was just ego. Sorry about that. So Wednesday, I get paid Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So every time I get paid, I'm transmuting it into cash flow, deflationary assets. I'm heavy in Bitcoin and XRP, and I keep buying more. And I have other assets, which I've shared with you guys. Things like Solana, XLM, ADA, HBAR, VeChain, right? A lot of the QNT, a lot of the ISO tokens. I love ISO tokens. Where are we going with this? I put money in my premiums every single month for my life insurance, and I leverage when I can. So, but I leverage responsibly. Okay. These influencers that are telling you to cash out go get an interest-free credit card. No. Don't do that. Don't mortgage your house. If you don't have the ability to pay it back, don't do it. You need to learn how to create cash flow. With the cash flow, buy assets. With the asset, then leverage responsibly to buy something that will pay it back. People saying, throw all your money into Bitcoin and then pay your bills and then leverage it and pay your bills. Well, how are you going to pay back the leverage if you can't pay your bills right now, right? So you have to learn how to create cash flow. And the way to do that is to humble yourself. Get rid of your car payment. Drive a hoopty, ride a bike. Like, this is all the shit that I did. I drove a hoopty for I still don't have a personal car. I did it all through my business. I still don't own a personal car. I drove a piece of shit car for a long time and it was fine. It was totally fine. And I realized nobody cares. Nobody cares what I drive. They don't care what I wear. They care who I be. So I love you guys. I know it's a lot of info, man. And again, my apologies for the beginning of the video. I have to, God, come on, let's go. This is the greatest time in human history, guys. So if you need any support at all, guys, I'm here to support you guys. I have ecosystems. Everything I talk about, I own or I use myself. Down in the description of this YouTube video here, you're going to see, you can meet with my elite insurance team. I own my own insurance firm. My team is elite in understanding how to properly set up insurance policies so that you can grow money tax-free, You can pass it down tax-free, and you can retire tax-free, and then you can leverage responsibly and understand how those mechanisms work. They have to be set up properly. So I have an elite team that I handpicked that can help you with that. Free consultation. We do not get paid by the client. And you also see my 3T Warrior Academy. I've helped 11,400 people get their shit together. There's many different entry points that you can get in there. You can also do a free consultation with my team to see how we can best support you. I just want to support you guys. I also have a free education section on my YouTube channel where I break down everything I'm doing. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Get in the tribe, get in the vibe. Warriors, rise. Get your shit together. Let's go.